and a tip behind him. That's going to be a spin from Goodell. Maybe no, he catches it. How in the world did he catch that?
I have no idea, and I'm not sure Ryan Goodell did either, but he comes back onto the track. A little bit of a check up there around him. That was incredible.
And taking advantage of that, Clayton Ham. Let's take another look at this replay. The 14, all sorts of sideways, and it starts to look like the car wants to go again. That's why he went on the apron. I thought maybe he just was slow and was trying to get out of the way, but he had to save it twice. We are indeed Brunschweiler to the inside of the pair of them. That might not necessarily be the best line unless he can get it woed up in time. He's the bravest on the brakes, and he is going to get it. Wow, the 4 moves up to 5th in a 2-1 move. Side by side between Burns and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has the inside, but not a nose ahead at first under braking. It starts to go back ahead. They're going to go wheel to wheel through here, giving each other space. Now it's a drag race, DJ, on who gets to the line first.
And it's going to be a shorter line there for David Burns, but it's not giving any room by Johan Vanderbilt. They're going to dive down into the corner. Little bit of bumping and banging, but who's it going to be? I think it's Burns by 22 thousandths of a second.
Meanwhile, up towards the front for TCRs, this has now swapped. Waring has swapped with Hardman. That took place last time by down the front stretch. Now looking to swap back. Look at this. Ascend to the inside. Hardman runs along the curb in the hairpin and just about completes the pass and does. Battle for second now up as Wager tries to send his way in for Britannia iSports.
Wow, this is a three-way battle for that first position. All these guys are fighting for the lead. This is
3 wide.
Really nice 3 wide going into Cunningham around to Collier. I can't tell who's going to make it out of this in front of this whole pack, but it looks like it's going to still be Hardman. Andrew Hardman doing a beautiful job to hold on to the lead there.
He's been slowly working his way up through the field. I wouldn't have expected it there. Brown maybe thinking about it 2 for 1.
Wow, great heads up by Johnson, who sees him coming and gives him space, and great braking by Travis Brown. I didn't think there was any way that he managed to get side by side.
Nor did I, but he runs wide there, and that's going to open up the door back for Jeffrey Shulam.
Wheel to wheel, fighting for the 9th position, and it looks like Shulam might have it. Travis Brown cutting back underneath. He's going to fight back on Jeffrey, who's had his hands full for just about the last 5 laps in its entirety, and unfortunately, once again, he is snookered around the outside of Sayat.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
We've seen fantastic racing all up in the first 2 rounds of this season. Hockenheim and Monza saw dramatic fighting and shock occurrences. How will our 2 fields fare when they come down to Australia? It's time for the Precision Racing League Ferrari GT3 Fixed and Formula 3 Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner. With me in the booth is Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Ferraris are racing at the brand new to iRacing Winton Motor Raceway, a tight and compact course in country Victoria. Find out more about it with the GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Winton Motor Raceway. About 2.5 hours north of Melbourne, this track is a surprisingly small venue for the powerful cars that tend to visit here. Australian supercars, F3 and GT3 all shockingly try and squeeze into its tiny footprint. With just under 2 miles on the national layout and only 1.25 miles for the club layout, the 10 and 12 turn courses often get described as more like go-kart tracks. As you'd expect, passing can be a real task since few straights are long enough to try and outbrake somebody. And though it is pretty flat, there's some interesting and unique features throughout a lap. The S's look like they were meant to be a chicane intended to slow cars down, but they're swift enough with some nasty curves and a wall to the outside that they'll seriously test your mettle. The run through the long left-hander and into rollover corner presents an unexpectedly tricky braking zone for Penrite, where the car is constantly shifting balance. Drivers will have to be patient past the iconic trees on the back half of the course, with racing mostly shifting to a slow single-file procession. Expect to wait for a mistake from your rivals in order to have a chance to overtake. Knowing that, keeping it on the black stuff is going to be everyone's first priority. It might not be an F1 level venue, but Winton's bull ring layout has helped to earn its nickname Australia's Action Track, and there's no denying it serves up some wild races without fail.
Well, Michael, as an Aussie myself, I'm very happy to see this track on iRacing. It's gotten a few polarized reactions from the wider iRacing community, but I'm still looking forward to the racing tonight. This should be fun. The track's pretty hard to pass on, so it'll be interesting to see what the drivers can do.
Well, I'm one of those people who's experienced the polarization. I gotta say, I absolutely love this track. It has become one of my favorites on the service, because it just offers so much. I could see this being used regularly as a test track when you're working your way through these 12 turns. It's almost two miles long, just under at 1.8. It's got everything though. It's got super tight turns. It's got sweepers. It's got changing radius. It's fun. It really is a fun track. I think the only downside is there's no elevation change, but that doesn't really bother me. I actually enjoy this track. I think we're going to see some outstanding racing from our drivers tonight, because you're going to see interesting attempts to pass, maybe down into the Northern BM corner, up to Advanced Petroleum, possibly into Motorsports News S's. But the interesting thing is iRacing gives you a lot of runoff for these cars. You can get pretty far, especially going through Motorsports News S's. The exit out of there, you can get so far out and really get some speed. So I'm kind of looking forward to see how much these drivers take advantage of what iRacing gives them.
Indeed. They're going to have to watch out for the curb at the exit of Motorsport News S's, though, because it does tend to potentially break cars if you go too far beyond the first curb on the outside. We're going to be racing for 35 minutes tonight here in the Ferrari GT3s with a 40% fuel tank restriction, which will be forcing a pit stop. So the drivers will probably have a few of their races decided by pit lane strategy. Before we get started, sorry. Michael,
I was going to say that pit lane is a bit treacherous to enter. That's probably the only thing that really caught me out on this track was how difficult it is to enter that pit lane. So I'm excited to see if somebody really makes up a lot of time because they did it absolutely perfect, or if somebody maybe loses a little bit because, well, they dropped a tire where they shouldn't have, or just went too slow on that pit lane entry.
Yeah, it's a very tight corner on the way into the pits here at Winton. Before we get started with tonight's racing action, let's thank our series sponsors. Our broadcast is brought to you by Advanced SimRacing. Owned and operated by passionate SimRacers, Advanced SimRacing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, PRL is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Let's check out the lie of the land after the first two rounds of the Ferrari GT3 series. Alec Bergstrom has yet to win a race this season, but he leads the championship. Nick McLaughlin took the win last time out at Hockenheim, and Eric Luke taking the win at Interlagos. Unfortunately, he missed out on a lot of points thanks to speeding in the pits at Hockenheim. Ended up having to come into the pits a second time to serve a penalty. But they're still not separated by much, Michael, so anything that can happen here at Winton could change the face of that championship substantially.
Yeah, that top five is incredibly close, only 12 points separating them. A little bit of a different story with Club Valve Racing at 112 points on the team standings, sitting at the top of that table. Eagle Vision Racing 25 points back, Car Ramrod at 26 points back, and just yet one more point back, F. Fred Racing in fourth at 27 points back, with actually not that far behind when you think about the whole season. Viking Hot Rod Racing, 51 points back in the fifth position.
Indeed, F. Fred Racing is Mark File and Kenny Duval, as well as David Cristelli, who's actually gone to pole position in the qualifying session at the moment, so there's potential for points there. As I mentioned before, it's a 35-minute race, but 40% fuel tank restriction, so the drivers will have to stop at some point here tonight. Of course, all the drivers are running the same setup, so the only thing they can change is the brake bias. They're going to have to be careful of off-tracks here at Winton. Yes, you can take a lot of track beyond the circuit before you get a 1X, but there's grass and gravel lining the racetrack. There are no tarmac runoffs at all here, so any incident could put you in danger of a pit penalty or a disqualification.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. And remember, there are bonus points to be had by running a clean race. You get the pole position, you get that fast lap, and of course you get 3 points or less, or three incident points or less. But right now we're taking a look at about 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. This is Dave Cristelli sitting at the top of the list right now. but just barely. Bergstrom 0.005 behind him. That's about the depth of the paint, if you really think about it.
Yeah, indeed. And Cristelli, I actually saw carried some damage as Nick McLaughlin, Owen McLaughlin, going to the top of the standings just there. Excellent stuff there. Brilliant time. Actually gaining almost a full 10th on Cristelli and Bergstrom.
Yeah, and with a track like this, looking back through this, we've got about a second from first to seventh. It might seem like a lot of time, but once you get people into file racing against each other, right now looking at Tyler Anthony in 5th place, he's only half a second back, and just on the tail of him, because that was a really nice run from him right there, is Simkowicz, just right behind him. So you're going to see some amazing racing all through that group, because when you get into racing mode and you are trying to defend, you're trying to attack, things happen. Now, sometimes they mean contact, but other times it means, hey, I was able to get a nose in there, kind of drove you off your attack of that apex, and now I'm going to get a better time and maybe be able to get around you. So it's always interesting to watch through a race. Just because somebody got a pole position does not mean they're going to win. That being said, Owen McLaughlin is not a bad driver, and I expect to see some pretty good things from him today.
Indeed, Alec Bergstrom should challenge him, though. He just briefly got into 2nd position in qualifying. We also saw Dave Peterson slotting into 8th. Brian Hoskins taking it slow there at the end of a lap here. Let's see what his first time is. 1 minute 20.609 puts himself into 10th place. That means that all 11 of our drivers have now set a qualifying time. Can Tyler Anthony improve on 4th place? Meanwhile, this lap is looking rather quick. Can he get into the 118s? Oh, he just misses out on improving on his time.
Yeah, watching his predictive time as that was rolling through, I was pulling for him. It still looked pretty good, but he may have caught an incident point through there somewhere, trying to push that absolute edge of the limit. There are a couple of spots where that can happen. I find once you get up into the twisty bits up top when you're trying to go around the trees that you push a little bit too far, you're going to get outside and you're going to catch a little bit of dirt, and iRacing is going to give you one of those incident points for it.
Dave Peterson improved his time, but he remains 8th. He still has a lap to go, though, so we'll see if he can get past Eric Dube in the number 87 and 7th. David Boucher also coming up to the end of one of his final laps. Yep, that is the final lap for David Boucher. Can he improve on a 121.5? It's going to be a 121.3 for him. That's still some way off Brian Hoskins, but at least he's been able to get a faster lap time in. Brian Hoskins also improves 1 minute 20.463, but again, that's going to be no improvement in position. Next driver ahead is Donald Olson on a 119.8. Can Tyler Anthony improve on his time here? Try and get a bit further up. Yes, by a few hundredths. There he goes, but that's not going to be quite enough to bump David Cristelli off the top 3 positions. And with 40 seconds left in the session, seems that might be the last we see apart from Dave Peterson here. Can he get past Eric Dube? No,
Yeah.
He cannot. Misses out.
Yeah, doing his best to get up there, but I got to tell you, I think we're going to see some really good racing between Simkowicz and Anthony. They are very, very tight here. Less than a 10th between them. But I think I could see Anthony trying to make a push onto Cristelli. It's just going to really depend on how they're able to get off the start, getting up there and just making your presence known. A lot of times it's the mind game of racing that matters more than just the raw lap times.
Indeed, and with how difficult it is to pass at Winton, there's going to be a lot of strategy involved in setting up potential passes and getting by drivers. Let's go through our grid then for round 3 of the Ferrari Fix Series at Winton. Owen McLaughlin is going to start on pole position. He's got Alec Bergstrom alongside, championship leader. David Cristelli shares the second row with Tyler Anthony. Spencer Semkovic starts alongside Mark Feil, with Eric Dube and Dave Peterson 7th and 8th, Donald Olsen and Brian Hoskins 9th and 10th. The 11th and final car on the grid tonight, David Boucher. I think it's a bit of a shame that we haven't seen as many drivers here at Winton, but I won't take it personally. I am a little biased, of course, Michael, as an Australian. I am a 3-hour plane ride away from Winton, but I still adore this track. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to go.
Yeah, it is a wonderful track. Like I was saying earlier, I have fallen pretty much in love with this track. It has so much to offer. And right now with 23 Celsius in the air and 33 Celsius on that track temperature, it's kind of warm. It's not too bad, but it's still within kind of working conditions. It's starting to reach onto that hot side. Humidity's quite high though, 62%. We'll see how that affects the power in the cars. And then, the winds are not too bad, but I really hope this track brings a lot. I was listening in earlier on some of the radio chatter where they were talking about, well, we were hoping to have more, but some people haven't bought the track yet. It is a brand new track in the iRacing service. And the other thing was something about spring break. So apparently it's also spring break time right now, and maybe some people have gone off with their kids to some spring break thing.
Well, we shall see how the 11 drivers here navigate this track. Getting ready for the green flag. Owen McLaughlin goes down the front stretch. And it's a pretty good jump that he's got over Alec Bergstrom, but he's getting pressured by Cristelli coming into the S's. Oh, had to give a little bit of room there on the inside, but manages to get the run that he needs. Bit of a space now between our two leaders as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. A newly upgraded section of track just a couple of years ago. They flattened the curbs and widened the circuit to promote better racing, and I think it's worked pretty well. But now through this long right-hander, this is the part where momentum and car balance is absolutely key. Not going to be any passes into the hairpins this time round, but for the time being, it looks like a nice clean start for our drivers, and they remain close together.
So far, so good. Everybody falling in line, trying to behave themselves. Everybody's aware it's a 35-minute race. 34 minutes left now, but you've got to get to the end of the race. So I believe it was Richard Petty to finish first. You must first finish. That might be a incorrect attribution there, but that's what I recall anyway. So everybody's got that in mind. This is a difficult track. You've got to really pay attention. And if you're not looking toward the end of the race, you're not going to see the end of the race.
Well, we see the end of lap 1, and Owen McLaughlin leads from Alec Bergstrom by 0.8 of a second, sets the fastest initial lap on his way through. It's looking like the battle on track is going to be for third place at the moment. Cristelli started to pull away a bit from Tyler Anthony, but Anthony has got a lot of pressure from behind from Spencer Semkovic and Mark Feil. It's also potentially on for 7th, with Eric Dube having to defend from Dave Peterson. It seems like Donald Olsen, he's gotten a good run out of turn 3 on Brian Hoskins in 9th. So pretty much every position still up for grabs at the moment. But oh no, Olsen, he's made a mistake there coming into turn 5, the long left-hander that brings you up to the hairpin section. Fortunately, there's plenty of space around this track, not much in the way of fences on the inside of the circuit.
Let's take a look at the GSRC replay here as we watch him coming in. Gets out, uses all that curbing getting out there. Now right here, this is kind of a double apex. Looks like that rear end's coming around on him. He had to go make the correction, and that just took him out onto the grass. So good that he caught the tail end coming out, but it kind of put him towards the back. But don't expect him to be there for long.
He might be able to make up some time in the pit cycle. We'll have to wait and see. Well, at the end of lap 2, looks like Bergstrom has started to gain on McLaughlin. The gap is at 0.7 of a second now, and Bergstrom sets the fastest lap. That is a very big statement there from the championship leader. It's still very close for 4th place as well. There could be, one little mistake could make the difference for Tyler Anthony here as he tries his best to navigate the turn that Donald Olsen went off at a lap ago. Down into the hairpins. that curb on the inside is always such a difficult curb to get right. The car easily gets upset there. And through these hairpins, it's all about momentum. You've got to try and set up for the exit onto the Shannon Straight here. And fun fact, Michael, where we turn left here, originally the track went right. You see the access road there. The club layout is the original layout of Winton. It was opened by the Benalla Auto Club in 1961, and famously Australian racing legend Dick Johnson described this track as running a marathon in your bathtub, or something to that effect. It's a very tight circuit, but it used to be even tighter.
Yeah, I'd love for DJR to give me a call to come race. I think, you know, a Johnson racing for for DJR would be a good touch. So,
yes.
Hey, you know, DJR guys, if you're out there listening, give me a call. I'm here. I'm ready to show up down under and show you guys how we do it German style.
Of course. Well, looking at the gaps now between these drivers, it looks like McLaughlin is continuing to lose time lap by lap to Alec Bergstrom. Bergstrom goes a little bit deep into the hairpin, though. It seems that he's really nailing those braking zones. This left-hand hairpin is a little faster than you think it is. It's very easy to lose time there. And sometimes the late apex is the way to go through this right-hander coming onto the Shannon Straight. It seems that Bergstrom and co are sticking to the inside. And it looks to me like the top 8, they are more or less together. Unfortunately, David Boucher and Brian Hoskins have fallen off the back of them here. Those last 3 positions are now in their own little battle pack. Donald Olsen recovering from his incident and making up time, but we check out the onboard from Bergstrom. And across the line, the gap is under 0.6 of a second. So Bergstrom, he's playing the long game here, just chipping away the gap at Owen McLaughlin. We'll see what he can do when they come up to the pit cycle.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to give him a little bit of a push there, then backed off as they went into the Motorsport News S's. Fell back to about 6-7 tenths. He was up to about 5 tenths. But, you know, it is the long game. You have to look for the finish. I was saying that just a few minutes ago. You have to watch for the finish of the race. But I got to say, I think we kind of had an interesting prediction going on earlier where I was saying Anthony may be able to push up towards Cristelli. That gap is not that much. We're looking at only about 5-6 tenths between those two. And then another between Cristelli and Bergstrom. That one's getting tight too. That's 6 to 7 tenths. So this race is not over. This seems like this front pack, at least back to 4th, maybe even getting back to Simkovic, is chilling out and waiting for the pit cycle to run through, and then we're really going to see these guys let loose and start making some dives, some darts, and maybe some interesting opportunities to pass or be watched.
It's continuing to look close for the likes of 6th place just behind these drivers as Owen McLaughlin gets the fastest lap back from Alec Bergstrom. Checking our mark file here, he's got Eric Dube behind, and Dube was quite close, and oh my goodness, Dube was very aggressive over the inside curb there through the Motorsport News S's. Got to take it easy though through this section. It's very tempting to go faster than you need to over those flat curbs, and it actually looks like Dube has lost a bit of time in Sector 1 there. He is making up a lot of time in the braking zones though, as Tyler Anthony goes off.
Oh, Anthony is off. That is a tough place to be off because you're going to lose so much time there. It's really difficult to pull the car out of the grass. The grass here, that dirt, just doesn't allow you to do much. As we take a look at the GSRC replay, got a little bit wide there. He was off at that point and now trying to come down into the next corner. Gets under the brakes just a little bit too far out. Not quite enough braking as he went into that corner. He was doing a great job holding on, but I think now he's going to find himself trying to race with the likes of Boucher, Hoskins, and Olsen.
Well, he went off in the exact same spot that Olsen did a few laps ago, and for much the same reason. You enter that corner a bit too fast and lose the car. Oh, here we go. It is on here. Mark File. He is right on the back now of Spencer Semkovic. It looks like Semkovic has lost time somewhere.
Well, I think Semkovic was getting a little bit of an advantage when Tyler Anthony was in front of him, giving him a little bit of a slipstream. That was helping him out a good bit. But now that he doesn't have that slipstream, the gap in front of him is pretty huge right now. It's about 3 to 3.5 seconds. You're not getting a slipstream there, but File right behind him, he's only 3-4 tenths off of him. He's got a slipstream on every single straight.
Well, we're hearing that Semkovic had an off-track somewhere in the last lap, so it looks like he might have had an ever-so-slight incident. Going back and checking from my perspective, it didn't seem like all that much happened, but evidently it had quite a big impact, and well, he's gone a bit deep into the left-hander, but he's continuing to maintain momentum here, just keeping Mark File behind, but you see how much File makes up in the braking zone, a lot more aggressive there into that double right to end the lap. The second of those is a little bit faster than you expect, and the slipstream is on down the front straight here at Winton, but not able to get alongside for a move into turns 1 and 2. Can Semkovic hold on?
Yeah, at the very tail end of that lap, it looked like Semkovic was not quite as precise as File was trying to go through those corners, but going through the Motorsports News S's, well, it kind of went the other way. Semkovic wasn't quite as precise as we were seeing. Sorry, File wasn't quite as precise as we were seeing from Semkovic. So I think these guys are trying to feel the track out. It may be the temperature is affecting them a bit. We are right at that edge of where the tires start to feel a little bit greasy. So 34 Celsius, it's getting warmer, and look, he goes wide. Oh, slips up underneath him, pushes him outside. Looks like that's going to be just one position. I was thinking 2 might have come out of that.
What a fantastic move that was from Mark File. He saw that Semkovic was slightly offline through the hairpins, and he saw the gap open on the inside and absolutely went for it. Is the replay of the incident. So keep an eye on Semkovic here. He just runs a little car width wide of the apex, has to, oh yeah, there we go, gets on the brakes, and Mark File, opportunistic dive up the inside. That was brilliant. See, you can pass at Winton.
See, it is a brilliant move, and I'm only saying that because I've done it. No ego there. So I've made the same move. There was a race in the Formula V's here, and one guy that I was trying to chase down didn't think you could pass there, and well, I disagreed and I passed him. So yeah, that is a great move right there. You get that person who just doesn't catch that corner just right and misses the timing. Now the problem with that is Shannon Straight, especially in something that is super dependent on the slipstream. So I don't think these Ferraris are too affected by it. There's a lot of power in these things, so not too bad, but ooh, we're almost about to see another spot get taken up. Almost didn't learn his lesson.
Okay, Semkovic is in trouble here, and Derek Dubes smells blood. Has a look up the inside, isn't able to get it done, but Semkovic has gone too deep, and he's gone off into the gravel, loses 2 places just like that, down to 7th now, and he could get passed by Tyler Anthony here as well, as Anthony is recovering from his earlier incident.
Anthony doing a nice job to come back, but let's take a look at the GSRC replay here as we watch. He comes off the corner, gets a little bit of wheel spin. He's in first gear, second gear, third gear coming up here, knows that we've got an attack on the left side, tries to keep the space open, but I think possibly paying a little bit too much attention to the mirrors, gets caught out late braking a good bit too late, probably about a car length or so.
Hearing a slight bit of car contact, it seems that Semkovic and Anthony are battling quite hard here. Tyler Anthony seeing Semkovic falling down the order and thinking, okay, here's one position that I can try to make up. Now, we've seen from past laps that Semkovic isn't the quickest driver through this section. Will he be able to hold on this time? Looks like he's managed to just get a little gap there over Tyler Anthony, and he hooks up the inside beautifully at that time. So maybe he has learned his lesson.
Yeah, Anthony was pretty good on the tail end of the lap, though. So let's watch for him to be able to close this up. This is not an unusual thing for him to see. Although, oh, Hoskins, that looks like Hoskins has gone off. That is just a troublesome section. If you're not aware, if you don't look at this track from the top and look at how those back and forth, or the folding over of those hairpins does, you're just not quite there. You don't feel that they are absolutely different speed through each of the three.
Yeah, it looks to me like, unfortunately, Hoskins, he just went way too deep into the left-hand hairpin and went off there. So, no other cars involved. We've kept the race nice and clean so far. There hasn't been any big car contact incidents. The battle for the lead is still on, though, as Owen McLaughlin holds off.
Oh,
Alec
Simkovic
Bergstrom
is off.
Oh no, poor Spencer Semkovic. He is having a very rough night, and that is way out in the weeds. Goodness me. How on earth did that happen? That's actually at turn 3. He ended up catching the gravel on the exit of the curb here. You'll see it. Just catches the gravel with his left side wheels. And when the traction control kicks in on these cars, there's not much you can do to save it. There he goes.
Yeah, just dropped that left rear wheel, took him out, sends him on around, out onto the, tough place to be. But, and Tyler Anthony has also gone off. Tyler Anthony just went off.
Oh, goodness me, and he's going wide in the left-hander to boot. My goodness, it's this is all erupting in chaos at the moment. Looks like Anthony, he got on the power nicely out of the hairpins, but got over the curb on the exit. And the curbs at Winton here are quite difficult to negotiate. Yes, you do have flat curbs here and there, but the majority of curbs are old style. They are actual proper curbs that you need to avoid, or make sure that your car's stable enough to navigate them. And unfortunately, that instated a little bit of wheel spin. We ride on board, though, with Donald Olson as he chases down David Boucher. Boucher has had a pretty good race so far. He is one of the drivers that has made the least mistakes, and he's gotten 3 positions for his troubles.
Yep, like you were saying, though, you got to stay off these curbs unless you can tune your suspension to handle it. Now, unfortunately, these guys have very little they can do when you change your brake balance. That does not affect the way you go over a curb. So not a whole lot they can do. They're going to need to stay off of it. But I got to say, if we take a look up towards our P6, P5 battle, we've got Dave Peterson getting in really tight on Eric Dube. That is getting closer and closer lap by lap. Look at how tight these guys are, right up under the wing of him. Just trying to push him, get him to make a mistake. These guys are running really close as Dave Cristelli pulls the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:18.686.
Well, Bergstrom and McLaughlin will have to look out for that as a whole. That's a bit too much over the curbs there for Eric Dube. This could be a move into turn 3 for Dave Peterson. There's not much overlap, though. He has to back out of it. Oh, goodness me. These runs between the corners, they're very short in the first sector, so you've got to rely on your rival making a huge mistake. As we have our first pitters of the night, Tyler Anthony and David Boucher have come into the lane.
Yeah, good call by Tyler Anthony. It's a good idea right now to just get in, reset your brain. You got to get your fuel. It looks like he's getting tires too, which is a surprise. I didn't expect anybody would need tires. This race is only 35 minutes. These tires should last. This could be a mistake where forgot to uncheck them, and that's going to really affect him poorly. But he's a pretty fast driver. We'll see what happens if he can get out there and try to make up some time on Boucher.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a ton of time to make up. He's now been in the box there for 35 seconds, finally gets off the jacks, and away he goes. So Boucher now navigating turn 3 as Anthony, just exiting the pit lane. Oh dear. Well, we've seen drivers making mistakes in the pits in all of the rounds so far. And it seems that's the way of it. Oh no, Anthony actually looks like he's had a problem at turns 1 and 2. Something's gone very wrong from there. Actually, yeah, we were looking at that battle there between Eric Dube and Dave Peterson. Anthony came out alongside them, and he had to go tight in turn 1, caught the curb and spun.
Ooh, tough for him. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay here. So we watch him feeding out onto it, just had to back out.
Top 3.
And then, caught. He just kind of hooked that curb. So again, that's really setup dependent. You can set the car up to handle things like that unless you're in a fixed setup race. Although, you know, it looks like he just had a little bit of a tail wiggle there, so I think he may be having some issues. Those cold tires are not working to his advantage at all, as we watch on again here with Peterson on Dube. Peterson looks like he's starting to get a little bit impatient, thinks he needs to be in front of Dube, but with 16 and a half minutes left, it's really going to end up being the way they handle the pit stall rotation. So, this is tough. This is tough to watch him try to sit back there. Got to take it easy. Got to be chill. The mistakes will happen if you let them. On the other guy, not on you.
And speaking of the other guy, Owen McLaughlin's just lost the lead to Alec Bergstrom. Something has gone very wrong for him in the Motorsport News S's. And looking back at him, he actually looks like he clipped that curb I was talking about at the top of the show. Watch this as they come down through the first sector of the lap. McLaughlin, he tries his best to take as much speed as possible through the chicane here, but gets onto the curb, and have a look at this. Bam! The car goes airborne, and he has lost so much time from that, picks up some damage from it to boot, and Bergstrom sweeps through into the lead.
Yeah, one of the things I've discovered in my decades of racing is if the wheels are not touching the ground, they don't do much. So you really need the wheels to be on the ground to put down the power or to brake or turn even. So yeah, being in the air, they don't work as well.
I never would have guessed, as we have Spencer Semkovic exiting the pit lane. He's just taken his pit stop for only 6.8 seconds. That's a very good stop from him, but he's going to have to navigate the leaders here. Alec Bergstrom having to go tight. This could allow Owen McLaughlin a chance to get back into the lead. It's brought Cristelli right into it as well. With Semkovic going wide to let them all through. And oh man, the way they had to navigate that spread out the top three once again. Goodness me. You lose a lot of time in the early stage of the race and take a pit stop, you will end up getting lapped by the leaders.
You've got to be really careful about when and how you choose to pit. You need to watch. I'm sure people have watched Formula One races and such where you see them going, I need one more lap. And then you'll hear the announcers talking about, well, if his pit time is going to be, his delta is 23 seconds, he needs to have 23 seconds behind him with an open spot. And it's very difficult to do that in iRacing. Not a lot of the tools can help you. As we're watching Peterson, I think, like I said, he's getting a little impatient. I think he kind of wants to push Dube through the couple of these corners. Seems to be having a better time under braking, but Dube just has the power off the corner. He is really doing what I try to get my clients to focus on, which is the exit of the corner. That's where you're going to make up the most time, is on the exit. Entries, sure, we'll work on that next. But right now, the best thing you can do is really get a good exit, like we watch right here, but not quite as good. Honestly, the past several laps I've been watching, Peterson has been able to get a really nice run down through that last corner and get very, very close to Dube.
Yeah, very close indeed. This is still going to be an interesting battle. Remember, neither of these guys have pitted yet, so there's still plenty of opportunities for this battle to be decided. And I think if you're Dave Peterson, maybe you come into the pits a little earlier than Dube does and try your best to find some clear air and make up the time that way. It'll be interesting, though, pitting with a car in front of you, because the way the pit entry works here at Winton, the actual pit entry lane comes off the outside of the second last corner, and you have to carry a lot more speed through there than you usually do if you take the racing line. So he might risk contact if he decides to make his way into the pits and lose as little time as possible.
Yeah, if the US-based viewers can think of a track here like Barber in the US, has a similar kind of thing where you just kind of overrun it. You can just push a little bit harder. Just exactly what I was talking about. You saw how he went a little bit faster through there to try to make it happen. And that corner is very tight, brings it down to get to the pit entry. Nice cut of that corner. I think he's going to get away with that. I think he's absolutely getting away with the cut of that corner through the dirt right there on his way to his pit stall.
Well, very well executed there from Dave Peterson, and he had the space in front of him versus Eric Dube to get that pit entry absolutely nailed. Let's see how long the pit stop is. Oh, it's going to be around 10 seconds there. Good stuff from Dave Peterson. The quickest stop is still Spencer Semkovich, only stopped for 6.8 seconds. Be interesting to see if he has enough fuel to get home from there. Of course, I'm referring to Semkovich there. But a bit more of a conventional pit stop time there for Dave Peterson. He comes out in 8th place.
Yeah, it looks like Boucher just had a little bit of an issue right there. I think it was probably that lap traffic coming through. As we watch here, these are it looks like Simkovich trying to make a move back in to maybe unlap himself. As we watch another car, that's going to be File. That's is that Cristelli or is that File?
Yes, Cristelli, number 29.
Yep, trying to head off in to make his pit stop.
Okay, well executed pit lane entry there. Looks like he has picked up a little bit of damage, potentially from the curb on the exit of turn 2. That's the main place that we see drivers picking up damage at this track. Comes to a stop and tyres unchecked, as they should be. Let's see how long this pit stop is then. 8 seconds for David Cristelli. Well, Alec Bergstrom and Owen McLaughlin will be checking that out and thinking, okay, we'll have to make sure that our pit stop is around that time if we want to stay ahead of him. Cristelli has come out in clear air, though. He'll be able to try and make up some time. But now the focus is on Alec Bergstrom, gaining a big advantage over Owen McLaughlin thanks to navigating the lapped car of Spencer Semkovich and nailing the entry to the left-hander. Doesn't take as much of the curb on the exit, though. I think he's just focusing on keeping it clean now. He's in the lead. He doesn't need to push as hard as he usually would. And remember, he hasn't taken a win so far this season. He is in the championship lead, but still has yet to get a victory to his name.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to be in. 0 wins, but still in the lead. And that really goes back to consistency. And we're watching him here. Every time he goes through the Motorsports S's right there, he's pretty much dead on. He is being super consistent as he goes around these corners. It's like watching a replay of the previous lap. Only a couple of times has he gotten a little bit off, and that was usually when there was some kind of battle going on. As we watch, we've got is this Dube going in?
Yep.
I believe that is Dube into the pit lane, trying to see how much fuel he needs to take on.
Well, responding to Dave Peterson's stop, and there's the data there from Peterson's stop. Dube is going to be stopped for a bit longer here. It looks like he might end up losing the position out of this. We'll have to wait and see as Dave Peterson makes his way into turns 1 and 2. He is well clear. Goodness me, that is a huge gap that Dave Peterson has gotten on Eric Dube. There he is. Actually looks like there's a slight bit more damage on his car as well. He's going to have to be careful making his way around this place.
Yeah, a little bit of damage goes a long way. You get a little bend on that splitter out front, that bad things start to happen. The airflow under the car doesn't work like you expect it to. And our leader is in. Looks like our leader has decided to come in for his pit stop.
Got a driver coming in behind him as well. It's Mark File, who's made his way in just behind. File was starting to gain on the top 3 battles, so he could still be in contention for a podium here. Let's see how long Bergstrom's stop is. That is a quick stop from Bergstrom, 6.7 seconds. So this could potentially decide the victory for him with a very efficient way through the lane.
Yeah, we'll see how this ultimately turns out. Sometimes pit can make the difference between a win and a third. I've seen it go both ways. Now, a lot of times, and I'm on my side screen. I just watched Bergstrom go wide at turn 1. The turn just before there, he went very wide. So I think he was just out of his sorts. So we take a look at the GSRC replay. Watch him as he comes out of the pits here, going in through turn 1 and 2. As he enters 3, we're going to see if his setup is right, the setup of the car, the positioning of the car to get through here. But he's going to go wide right here. He goes into the brakes, gets the car rotated. Looks like a little bit of a bobble, maybe trying to go a little bit too fast. But, you know, if this were a drift show, I'd have to give him a lot of points on style for that one. That was really nice.
Yeah, it certainly was. Yeah, interesting going into turn 3. It's a very misleading corner. It tightens up in the middle, but it's a lot faster than you think it is. It's difficult to get the line right through there. So, you know, if your rhythm is disrupted by going into the pits, you can sometimes forget that as McLaughlin takes his stop. And wondering if he knows of that mistake from Bergstrom. That is another quick stop there. It is 5/10 slower than Bergstrom's. And it looks like, oh, Bergstrom's coming back into the pits.
I think he may have hit his penalty limit. Nope, I think he's actually stopping in his pit stall. Did he not take on enough fuel? Or I'm not sure. Yeah, there may have been a speeding in pit lane, but I don't know what he's doing here. I didn't see anything come up. But very quick stop there, heads back out. Let's see if he can recover something out of this. This will put him back out into about 6th position. I think he can hold on to that. But wow, that's going to be rough for the day right there. That kind of penalty happens every once in a while, and you just shake your head because you know there's nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah, that's a big shame for Bergstrom. That's bizarre, though. Yeah, maybe he slightly underfueled the car, potentially, because if he did reach that incident limit, we would have seen a black flag next to his name in the entries tab in Sim, and I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was looking for it and thinking, well, maybe it just hasn't come up yet. But no, I'm going to guess it may have been an underfuel situation where he just thought, let me go ahead and put a little extra fuel in here and see how the end of the race comes out. He should be able to push the whole time now, because with the amount of time he was stopped, that was almost 8 seconds of a stop right there as he was stationary in the box. So that's plenty of fuel to get out there and really boogie if he needs to.
Well, he comes out in 6th place, and unfortunately it's 3 seconds to Eric Dube ahead of him. Bergstrom, though, we know is quite quick versus Eric Dube, so we'll see what he can do in the final 5 minutes of this race. This is flowing by, and we are now rapidly approaching the end stage. Owen McLaughlin and David Cristelli have both pitted in the meantime, and it's looking like the gap for the lead is somewhat stable. Cristelli, he's trying to make up some time here on McLaughlin, but it's staying around 1.1, 1.2 seconds. There's the lap time comparison there. McLaughlin, quite quick it seems, versus David Cristelli.
Yeah, Cristelli doing what he can to get up there, but it's just tough. He's got just over a second to make up, and that is a lot of time with only 4 minutes left. If you think about how many laps we can get done here, it's about 1 1/3 minutes per lap. And with 4 minutes left, that's not a lot of time to make it happen. Still sitting at 1.1 seconds. It's going to be tough, and I think Simkovic, as I watch on the side, Simkovic may have gone off. Yep, he went off and looks like he's taken a tow. As we watch GSRC replay here, why don't you talk us through this?
Well, it looked like it happened in turn 4. This is a mistake that we've seen drivers do before. He goes a little bit too deep into turn 4 and off into the gravel. Wow, all 4 wheels off into the gravel there, and oh man, Simkovic will be very unhappy with that, and might have been approaching the incident limit. At this point, he thinks, okay, I think I'm done here tonight.
Yeah, you get to that point where it's just not your night, and it's better to go off and race something else, or sit back and have a beer. I mean, some days are not made for racing. You feel like they are, but I want to take a look here. Look at how much we've caught up here. Bergstrom has really done a great job catching up to Dube. He just got the fastest lap of the session with a 1:18.3. Now, they were fairly close before. Last lap for Dube was a 1:20, but their fastest laps, Dube was at a 1:18.8, and Bergstrom, I believe, before that lap was at a 1:18.7, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to close this up. Well, looks like he can, and we watch a remarkably different attack on this corner as Dube goes very, very wide. Looks like Bergstrom is just sitting back there in the catbird seat waiting for this to happen. He's like, I know you're going to make a mistake because you know it's me behind you. So I'm going to push you as much as I can and let you drive off, and I'm just going to sail right on by you.
Well, we should have 3 laps to go. including the one that we're on for the leaders. So Bergstrom still has a bit of time here to make his way past Eric Dube and absolutely nailing the line through the Motorsport News S's. It's amazing how much speed you can carry through there. And moving up to the bumper here of Eric Dube through turns 3 and 4. They don't take as much of the curb that time around. They don't want to risk spinning off into the grass on the inside of the track through this long double apex left-hander. It's all about trying to keep the grip in the fronts, and slightly deep, slightly wide there for Eric Dube. Alec Bergstrom might see an opportunity here to get past for 5th place, trying to recover places here in the late stages. Dube protects the inside, leaves a little bit open on the inside, but there's no space for Bergstrom to make the move. Is there going to be a pass here? It's defensive. Oh, hello. Goodness me.
Good try around the outside. Throw him off the line a little bit. Definitely getting into his head, though. Both drivers came out of that corner a little bit off pace, but I think we may have seen Bergstrom getting an advantage, at least on the psychological side. He knows he's in Dube's head right now. Eric is praying for this race to be over. Really wants to see that white flag at the soonest possibility.
Poor boy. Okay, Eric Dube has all of the pressure beneath him as Alec Bergstrom chases him down. And it's all about the middle sector here at this track, how you can pick up the throttle as soon as you can, try and brake early, go for the slow in, fast out technique. Does Bergstrom go a bit tighter here? Looks like he does. Oh yeah, Dube running a little bit wide and over the curb. That could be an opportunity for Bergstrom. He has a look on the inside line, but he just can't get it done. The space between these corners, very tight.
Let's see if we see that little surprise pass. Nope, blocks it off pretty well. Dube knows what's coming right there and actually has a much better exit this time than he did the previous time. Oh, but let's take a look at our leader.
Crosses the line with 3 seconds, so that is the final lap. That is the white flag for Owen McLaughlin. And he's holding on to the lead by 1.7 seconds. So there's going to be another lap here for Alec Bergstrom to try and make his way past Eric Dube. And Dube very wide, actually took a bit of pit entry there. This could be the chance that Bergstrom needs, right on the bumper, coming down the front stretch. He goes to the inside. The room is left there by Eric Dube. How late is Alex Bergstrom on the brakes? Dube goes a bit deeper into the S's. He keeps the position. That's a fantastic defense there. Oh, but wow. Bergstrom, he could go up the inside into turn 3 here. Oh, they make contact and Dube goes off into the gravel. Bergstrom has to redress the position, doing the sportsman-like thing. That might be the one chance he had to take 5th place gone.
Yeah, I think he had a decent chance in there, but it just got closed down on him. Not sure what the overlap rules are here, but let's go back to our leader. This is Owen McLaughlin right on the last, looks like the penultimate corner. Cristelli trying to close down, still 1.3 seconds back.
Well, it's been a great drive from Owen McLaughlin. If it weren't for that mistake in the pits from Alec Bergstrom, he might have finished 2nd, but he's going to be happy with pole position and the win tonight here at Winton. Brilliant performance from Owen McLaughlin, also from David Cristelli to get 2nd place. It's not over for 5th though. Eric Dube, he had a very poor run out of the 3rd last corner. He's going to go defensive here versus Alec Bergstrom. Oh dear, Bergstrom has to back out of it. He can't get it done. This has been a great defense from Eric Dube, and he's going to just hold on for 5th place. Bergstrom, though, with a 6th place finish, very likely that he might lose the championship lead.
Yeah, that was a really good run on the end right there. Little radio chatter going back. Nice congratulations from Eric Dube on the attacks that Alec Bergstrom was putting on him. Let's take a look here at the replay, though, as we watch. This is that first attempt going down into turn 3. A little bit of overlap, backs out of it, and then just taps him. Does the gentlemanly thing, does the sportsmanlike thing, gives him that position back and says, well, I've got 12 turns on this track that I can make this happen on. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make it happen if you're Alec Bergstrom, but if you're Eric Dube, fortunately, he wasn't able to make it happen.
Oh boy. Well then, let's check out the results then from the first race of the night. McLaughlin takes it by 1.2 seconds from Cristelli. Mark File comes home for third. That is an excellent run for him. Good championship points haul there. Dave Peterson and Eric Doob will round out the top 5. Alec Bergstrom, if it weren't for that second pit stop, he would have probably won here tonight, but he's going to have to settle for 6th. Donald Olson finishing in 7th place, with Tyler Anthony, Brian Hoskins and David Boucher rounding out the top 10. Unfortunately, our sole retirement from this race, Spencer Semkovic, 5 laps from the end. That's a big shame there. Let's go to our driver interviews then. The first driver in the booth with us is going to be the number 90 of Owen McLaughlin, our race winner. Owen, it was quite a difficult race out there for the Ferraris. Winton, a very tight track and very difficult to pass on.
Yeah, it's a hard track. I mean, it's pretty much single file the whole time. If you make one mistake, you lose a position. That kind of happened to me in the middle of the race. Alex took pretty good advantage of me, but I'm not sure what happened to him. Luckily, I was able to get it back.
That you were, and it seemed that it was a battle with the track more than it was with the other drivers. Can we just go through briefly the mistake that lost you the race lead early on? Coming out of turn 2, that curb on the outside is a place that a lot of drivers have found grief before.
Yeah, there's a nice little curb there and a little bit of a hill. So if you catch it just a foot to the left, you're gonna go flying. It's a tricky corner to go through. You can actually go over those curves pretty good, but if you go too much, it kind of bounces you. So it's a really kind of a fine line to find the right point. And I was just trying to drive pretty hard to try to keep Alec behind me, and I just made that mistake.
Well, nonetheless, taking the win here tonight, you were 18th in the standings coming into this round, not taking the start at Hockenheim, so you should be very happy with this points haul.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice. It's been a while since I had a win. I mean, it's a lot of people are out tonight, because it's spring break or whatever. So, but I'll take it. Got a long season left ahead, and should be a lot of fun racing.
Should be indeed. Before we let you go, Owen, anyone you'd like to thank for your victory tonight?
I just want to thank PRL for holding a good series, and thank you guys for the nice coverage, and thanks for my teammates for having some fun.
Well, that's Owen McLaughlin there taking a brilliant victory at Winton Motor Raceway as the PRL goes to Australia. Next up, we have got our third place man, Mark File, number 77, stood by with Michael.
So, Mark, nice race this evening. Started off a little bit farther back in 6th position, but you just let the battle of attrition come to you. Had a little bit back and forth, I think, with Simkovic and maybe a little more with Anthony. But the race just kind of unfolded in front of you to almost gift you a beautiful podium, clean finish.
Yeah, it's usually my goal each week. I try not to push the issue early. Got into it with a Spencer a little bit, and like you said, with that battle early on, I had to pull that quick dive move. I didn't like to kind of bomb on him like that, but he was holding me up, so I figured if I didn't take that move, I was going to fall too far behind, and maybe miss this opportunity for one more person to make a mistake to get the podium.
Yeah, so ending up on the podium, of course, it always feels good to be there. Was it your plan at the beginning of the race? Like, you got into 6th place. Did you kind of think, well, I know there are a couple of guys up here who might be overdriving and it's a new track that not everybody knows? Or were you just kind of shocked to find out that these guys who normally drive perfect races didn't?
I knew with everybody missing, because I knew a bunch of guys would miss, so I knew I had a good chance at the podium if I kept my nose clean. I'm not a good qualifier. I never have been, so I usually always work my way through. It's just kind of my MO, so that's kind of what I was prepared for and hoping I could do, and I finally get to visit you guys.
Yeah, well, it's kind of my MO as well. Any fans out there know that when I'm out there racing, although I've had an interesting past couple of races in a couple of the leagues I race in, that I've just found myself in 1st or 2nd after qualifying. It's very unusual for me. So I think we kind of have the same spirit animal. Hopefully that spirit animal catches up to you and you start getting a little closer to the front end after qualifying. So how about some thanks? Who do you have to thank for that 3rd place finish today?
Well, biggest thanks goes to my guy Fred, who's sponsoring our cars. Good work, buddy. He's retiring, so we're honoring him this season with the F Fred Racing. It's a little inside joke we do at work. So, and obviously PRL and you guys at GSRC for doing a great broadcast. I love rewatching it every week, no matter where I finish. I always tune in for it.
Well, thank you so much. We really enjoy putting on the broadcast because you guys put on a great show. I'm going to hand it back to Reese now.
Thanks, guys.
Indeed. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark File. Well, that brings to an end proceedings at Winton Motor Raceway, but we're going to hop the state border to New South Wales after the break. We're going to be racing at Mount Panorama in the Formula 3s. Stay tuned. You're watching Thursday Nights with the Precision Racing League.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Well, we stay in Australia for the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series. Really looking forward to this one, because we're racing at the iconic Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst, New South Wales. A legendary Australian circuit, some would say one of the best in the world. Let's find out more about it with the GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrod Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock's Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today.
Well, Michael, again, I'm a little biased here as an Australian, but you as an American, what are your views on this Mount Panorama circuit?
Well, it is simultaneously suspenseful and terrifying, as well as relaxing, which sounds really weird. Like they're opposite ends of the spectrum. But when you get into a really good flow here, it doesn't seem like you've got 23 turns over 4 miles. You just kind of go through like Hell Corner and you're heading down the straight and you got time to, pull out your text messages and see what's going on. No, just kidding. Never, ever, ever do that. Once you get to Griffiths Bend, though, it's like, okay, now we're getting into the fun, and it's just back and forth and back and forth. And you just find this zen, this flow that goes up the mountain. Not everybody finds the flow, but I absolutely do. I love going up there. And then you come down, you get into Forest Elbow, and it's like, okay, now let's go see if we can blow a connecting rod for the Conrod Straight, heading down into the Chase, into Murray's Corner, and then you start all over again. So I love this place because it just has a relaxing feeling for me. And I think everyone thinks I'm an absolute nutball for that.
Yeah, it's definitely a fast-paced circuit here at Mount Panorama, and it's technically a street circuit as well. This place was built in the late 1930s. There's actually a funny story behind it, and like most good stories, it's not entirely true, not entirely clear, how true the story is. The story goes that the mayor of Bathurst, Mr. Griffin, whom Griffin's Bend is named after, wanted to build a permanent racetrack to continue the legacy of motorsport in the Mount Panorama area. There are quite a few public road racetracks around here in the early part of the 20th century. Unfortunately, the Great Depression was happening, so the New South Wales state government didn't want to commit the funds to building a racetrack. There are obviously better uses for money at the time. So the story goes someone came up with the bright idea to build a scenic drive in the Mount Panorama area, going across the top of the hill. And of course the government went, okay, brilliant, that's fine, that will provide some jobs. But then as they were building it, they were like, you know what, this might make a really good racetrack. So let's check out the points in the Formula 3 series going into this round. Alex Fournier is the one leading the championship by 15 points from Sebastian Coffret. Coffret took the win at Silverstone. Fournier took the win at Monza, both in quite dominant fashion. But it's looking quite close for third there, Michael. Palacio, Overbay, and Ritters only separated by 4.
Yeah, that's going to be a really tight race. We know those three are really good drivers. But if we take a look at the AM standings, we've got Fernando Rodriguez, 71 points in there. Greg Doucette, 14 points back from there. Brad Miller with TQ Engineering, 15 points back from the lead, not off of Doucette. So that's only 1 point there. And then fourth and fifth, we have a tie between Brett Thurman and Brian Lowe at 21 points back off the lead. This is going to get heated.
That it is, and in terms of the team's championship, it is incredibly heated too. SDS Racing Team Blue only leading by 5 points from TQ Engineering, and it's a tie for third between Advanced Sim Racing Esports and SRT Esport. And we know how chaotic this series has been so far. There could be big changes in the team's standings here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but this is only round 3 out of 10. Now, this is a long track, only 19 laps tonight. Now, we have open setups, unlike the Ferrari challenge, the Ferrari group we saw earlier, where they have a fixed setup. These are open setups, and there is a drive-through penalty with 13 incident points, disqualification at 7. Just like the Ferraris, we got a bonus point for the pole, the fastest lap, and getting 3 or fewer incident points.
Well, the incident points will be very easy to pick up around here. You can see just how close the walls are here, making their way down the Mount Panorama Scenic Drive, as it's known for most days of the year. Sebastian Coffret on pole position. And we'll see if he can improve on a 1 minute 56.855. He's not that far behind, not that far ahead, sorry, of Justin Negrete, who has put himself into second place only recently. So that's a pretty good qualifying performance there, coming through the chase for Mr. Kofre, just avoiding the curbs. And he goes a little tight there out of the chase. I'm not too sure if that's the way to go. But into Murray's corner, the last corner, very difficult to pick up the throttle out of there. The first and last corners here are right angle, and from above it seems like they're not that difficult. But once you're actually in the driver's seat, it's incredibly difficult to get your line right, get the throttle for the run down these straights. Andres Echevarria, meanwhile, in 29th. Can he improve? Yes, he can, by half a tenth.
Yeah, this is a fun track. It's very interesting. Like you said, those two corners, Murray's and Hell Corner, really difficult to get right. But once you get the flow, and I know I keep talking about flow, but once you get that flow, they do really come together. As we watch Ho Yun Lung coming in here, this is going through Murray's. He's a little bit off the apex there, tries to get his power down. Let's see if he can make I think something happen. That may have been an out lap for him, so that's going to be his push. Now we know Max Chablis. We've watched Max over a couple of seasons now. We know how good he is. Back in 9th place, coming down also into that corner, gets a little bit of that apex curbing, puts the power down, coming across. Don't think he's going to make it on this one too. That may have been an out lap as well.
Well, it's the beginning of another lap for Max Chablis, who's still looking for a bit more success in this season. He hasn't had the best of luck at Silverstone or Monza. Stephen Varady, having a bit of a technical issue coming through the chase. We'll see if that ends up working out the time for him. That's no good there. Well, let's see if Michael Overbay can improve on a 57.045. He's in contention for pole position, and oh man, he just misses out by a couple of tenths, and that would have been probably just, slightly off on the line through the S's, maybe a little bit of delay getting on the throttle out of Forest Elbow, something like that. There's so many places on this track where you can lose little tiny instances of time, and that makes a huge difference to your lap.
And it really does make a difference. You've got to get into the right groove. As we watch Robert Ridgway here with Atomic Racing Proton going through that final corner, trying to chase down Nick Caranjas. Hopefully going to get a little bit of a draft. He's still got 2 minutes here. He's got enough time to make this lap count. So watch him as he comes out there as we go back to Ho Yin Lung, trying to make his way down through the chase, I believe is where we are. Getting around that little bit, trying to put the power down, getting up underneath that Armor All Bridge. Wow, right out to the edge of the curb. I think we've got an AM who wants to be racing with the pros, gets into those binders, gets on that apex, puts the power down. Not a bad exit. How does he do on this one? That is a 158.803, so he does improve.
And he gains a position over his fellow AM driver, Brian Lowe, who's just coming up to the end of an out lap here, it seems. Well, unless he's made a mistake somewhere across the top of the mountain. We'll see if he can respond on this next lap. There's only 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the session, and the drivers will be able to complete a lap if they start one before the timer runs out. Here's Overbay then through the chase, flat out on the entry. Got to brake so late here for this chicane that was added in 1987. Was he a tiny bit wide at the apex there? I'm not quite sure. But under the Armor All Bridge, down to the chase, past the pit entry, which is incredibly difficult in any car. You've got to negotiate a double chicane on the way in. Is this going to be a 56 for Overbay? It is a 56.866, and he gets himself back into second place over Justin Negrete.
Nice job on the finish there. Very well done. As we take a look back here, P8 Caraballo trying to improve himself. Looks like he is on his out lap though, and unless he gets across, nope, he's going to take a dive into pit lane and practice his entry, which, well, I think it may need a little bit more practice. So let's take a look at James Carter here, P27. He is an AM driver, sliding the car through the chase here, gets powered down. And it goes underneath the Armor All Bridge into the braking zone. See how close he can get to this apex. 55, 56, 57, 58. And no, just misses beating his own time.
That's a shame there for Carter. It looks like Stephen Ritter's just getting 16th from Robert Ridgway. Meanwhile, Ho Yin Lung through the final corner for the final time here. Will he be able to improve? Yes, look at that. 5/10 gained. Brilliant stuff. He goes all the way up to 20th. Brilliant.
Has to be the Ferrari livery because, you know, of how well Ferrari's doing in Formula One this year.
Of course.
I'm seeing it's absolutely passing across to iRacing F3.
Absolutely it is. Michael Overbay is still on a lap, though. He might be committing to a long run here to try and gain pole position. Kofre is only 100th ahead of him, so all he needs to do is nail one extra corner, nail one extra acceleration zone. He had a little bit of oversteer there on the exit of the chase. He is really pushing here, but he's not going to commit to the end of the lap, demonstrating pit lane entry once again.
Yeah, he knew he was off. He was a good 3/4 of a second off of his previous best time as we watch Michael Diaz coming through the chase here, trying to see if he can do any better. Currently P4, predictive lap time. Don't think he's going to do it. Yep, drops himself into the pit lane. But, you know, it's a good idea to try to practice that pit lane entry as we watch Michael Blaze heading around that same bit right now in 33rd, coming down, going to make that dive into the pits. I think we may see a few drivers who know they just aren't on time trying to make the dive into the pits. So watch Nick Carangis trying to make his way around 58, and nope, does not improve, about 3/10 slower than his best time.
Robert Ridgway just behind, though, managed to go from 17th to 15th with the time that he just set. Good stuff there. And it looks like that's all of the drivers done. Before we reach the end of qualifying and go through the grid, we want to thank one of our sponsors here at the Global Sim Racing channel, the Majors Garage. Make sure to check them out, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code, Majors GSRC, you'll get 10% off. Maybe you'll be able to up your setup game and compete with the drivers in this open setup Precision Racing League Formula 3 series. Well then, very close times at the top of the field there. The top three only separated by a 10th and 300ths as we go through the starting grid now. It's Sebastian Kofre who starts on pole position alongside Michael Overbay. So close between those two. Justin Negretti and Michael Diaz on the second row, with Alex Fournier and Julio Palacio 5th and 6th. Raymond Dew is going to start in 7th alongside Caraballo, with Max Shabley in 9th and Gabriel Moreau rounding out the top 10.
Looking on the row number 6 in P11, we've got Stephen Varaday alongside Byron Daly. Juan Coffrey is in 13th with Ruel in 14th. Robert Ridgway, who we just watched there at the end, coming in 15th with a very nice time, alongside John Almanar in 16th. Stephen Ritters, Brad Miller, Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, and then Ho-Lin Young in 20th.
Starting out at 21st is going to be Nick Carangis. He starts alongside Ryan Berry. Manuel Vargas shares the 12th row with Fernando Rodriguez. It's Brian Lowe and Greg Doucette in 25th and 26th. James Carter and Andres Echevarria start in 27th and 28th. And the top 30 rounded out by Richard Swindels and Neil Alexander.
Row 16, we see Gunderson with Dinsmore, Michael Blaze on the 17th row with Tyler Gore, and finishing out the field in 35th is Colin Dees.
Well, that's a big field of Formula 3 cars here with a standing start here at Mount Panorama. It's a short run into turn 1 at Hell Corner, but there's still plenty of opportunities for making passes. Also plenty of opportunities for incidents as well. Big curbs here at Mount Panorama. And James Carter here, the driver we've got on the cams here tonight, with his biggest fan alongside him.
His biggest fan. Wave at us, James, if you can hear us. Nope. Sometimes when I'm racing and it's a GSRC, I'll actually have the GSRC feed in my ear a little bit, because a lot of times I can tell more than what one of the software packages will tell me.
Well, only a few seconds left on the gridding time, and they will get ready for the standing start here. A lot of space here in the grid spots at Mount Panorama. and the revs will rise. Sebastian Coffret on pole position. Michael Overbay just behind him. Who's going to get the run into turn 1? Lights out, and we are away. It's a clean start from Coffret. Got a slightly better jump than Overbay did. And, oh, it's on for third. Justin Negrete having to defend from Michael Diaz, who tried the move at Hell Corner. They're going too wide behind with Dew and Caraballo. And meanwhile, it is a huge amount of too wide in the back of the field. But it looks like everyone has made their way through turn 1 cleanly. We got a couple of pit lane starters. Fernando Rodriguez and Michael Blaze have decided to start the race from the pit lane. And it's on for third once again. Goodness me. Michael Diaz getting it round the outside of Justin Negrete there, defending well in Griffin's Bend, but this is where the choke point is at the cutting. Very easy to crash into the walls here. Looks like Caraballo has managed to just get ahead of Raymond Dew there for 7th place. But now this is where the aero push really gets in, Michael. This is going to be fun here over the top of the mountain through Reed, Sulman, and then McPhillamy Park.
Yeah, now coming around McPhillamy Park, looking through into the dipper right now. The dipper in these cars is going to be wild because there is so much downforce. We're used to watching GT cars come through here, and the supercars as they make their way around. You almost always see wheels come up off the ground. As we watch a little bit of a tire lock up there, a little bit too heavy on the brakes coming out. And into the wall. Who was that?
Palacio.
Palacio hitting the wall coming out down the Conrad Straight.
Goodness me, there's problems for Stephen Varaday as well. He's falling down the order massively. Something's gone very wrong for him. Down to 19th to 21st. Goodness me, it looks like he might have had a spin out of Forest Elbow. We want to briefly apologize to Raymond in car number 77. His last name is actually pronounced Day, so we will make sure to get that right in the future. Lap 1 complete though, and it is Sebastian Coffret who leads by 0.8 of a second from Michael Overbay. Still could be on for third though, with Michael Diaz facing pressure from Justin Negrete here. And have a look at that exit from Hell Corner for Justin. That was magnificent. He's going to have the draft here coming up Mountain Straight, but want to be on the inside coming into Griffin's Bend. Here we go. There's the move for third. Have a look at the crown in the road here, Michael. This is where the advantage is really given to the driver on the inside. Oh, just going very wide there is Michael Diaz losing third place.
Yeah, good pass, but very nice racing from both sides there. It's important to know how to pass. It's better to know how to be passed. And understanding that there's a long race going on here. We've got 19 laps, only the second lap into the race. There's a lot of time to re-attack. Now, if he can stay up with him, going up this mountain section through the parks, as they come back down onto the Conrad Straight, there's an opportunity to repass as they work their way down into the last part of the track.
Raymond Day then coming down through the S's. Oh, just clips the curb. Got to be careful in these very stiff Formula 3 cars, and a bit of oversteer through the dipper as well. You do want a bit of rotation there as the left side tyres get a little airborne. Oh, slight lock up there for the number 278 of Caraballo. He's chasing down Alex Fournier, winner at Monza. Fournier not quite getting the qualifying performance he would have wanted here at Mount Panorama, and he could be in trouble coming into the chase if the slipstream is strong. We saw how strong it was at Monza, and it certainly is here at Bathurst as well. That's a late move there from Caraballo, and big contact there. Fournier gets smashed off into the grass.
Ooh, let's hope they can recover from that. Gets back onto track. No issues getting back on. No other contact. Let's see how his car performs from here on out. There, that was a pretty big hit for him. But we're watching several fast laps go through. I think we've just had at least two. We had Coffrey and then Negrete also making just a little bit of a tick on that fast lap.
Well, this has really compressed things up, hasn't it, with that incident for Alex Fournier. As we check out the replay of the move here, it was a good attempt from Caraballo, but maybe a little late. And going side by side through the chase, it does widen up a little, but yeah, it looks like Caraballo just overshot. There was no way he was going to make the corner there.
Yeah, but as we watch Fournier coming back on track, looks like Caraballo did keep let him keep the position there. Oh, Oh,
dear.
lots of stuff going on there. That was Coffre. Hard to tell. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take the tow to the pits. Man, that it's such a tough section up through there when you get into like the skyline area and through the dipper. That just gets so crazy. But this is actually earlier on. This is on the way up the hill.
Yeah, Caraballo going into the wall. That checked everyone up ahead, and that's the reason why he spun.
Oof. Yeah, it's very difficult to see things like that, and unless you have a live person spotting for you, it's not going to help you to have one of the electronic, the software spotters doing anything. That's when it really comes in handy to have a spotter. So we watch him bounce off the wall there. Not much he could do, but for the guys behind, a real live spotter telling you, oh, he's off the wall, check up, check up, check up, is immensely helpful. Keeps you from having incidents like that.
That it does. Gabriel Moreau there just losing the position to Stephen Ritters coming into the chase. They've got Luc Christophe Deruel just behind them there for the Advanced Sim Racing Esports team, teammate to Alex Fournier. And under a lot of pressure from Robert Ridgway and Ho Yin Leung. Ho Yin Leung is having a pretty good race here, up 5 places now thanks to mistakes from others. Same can be said for Brian Lowe, up 8 positions now and into 17th just behind these guys. What can Ridgway do? Well, he's electing not to pick up the draft that time around. I think he's thinking more about Ho Yin Leung behind him, trying to go defensive. And there's the view from the back. Leung, though, not able to get the run down Mountain Straight. And oh, he runs a bit wide in Griffin's Bend. The crown in the road gets him, and you see just how much time he loses. These cars produce quite a bit of downforce, but if there's a crown in the road, you've got negative camber on the outside. There's only one way you're going to go, and that's backwards.
Yeah, it's very interesting coming into that corner when you go into Griffin's Bend there. You have to cross the crown by the point where the pressure comes down. That looks like Doucette. Yeah, looks like Doucette from 31st has pretty much lost the right side of his car. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay. So you watch what happens here. Going up into the up the hill section, gets a little bit too wide going through the cutting, takes the right side wheels off of the car.
That's a huge shame for Greg, and he's going to be spending a lot of time in the pits there getting that repaired, wondering if he'll even be able to make it back out onto the racetrack at this rate. That's such a shame, but demonstrating how easy it is to make mistakes at Mount Panorama. Justin Negrete is hoping that Michael Overbay will make one of those mistakes and hopefully not involve himself in it. Almost went for the move at the chase, but into Murray's corner. Difficult to get a move done into here if you don't absolutely nail the run out of the chicane. So Negrete is going to have to wait just a little bit longer here for this move. But we've seen how strong the slipstream is. Let's see what Negrete can do coming into Griffins. Oh, maybe a bit of oversteer on Hell Corner will stymie that run.
He's still only about 3.5 tenths off of him. The draft is going to be quite beneficial as we get our way up into the braking zone right there at that, well, I say right here at the road. That's for GT cars. Let's see what happens as they work their way through Griffin's Bend, trying to come up in here. He's closed it up to just right at 0.3 of a second off of his tail. That's not a great place to be in these cars. You want to have that downforce in this section of the track. Big bump right there as they come across. The downforce should help them. Still going up, going to work our way through the parks, full throttle all the way from here. This is absolutely hammered down. Get your way up to the top of the hill. Work that left-hander at McPhillamy Park as you come back down under the Coates Hire Bridge. Go into the brakes to see how we're going through the S's here. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I think we have an opportunity in Conrad Straight as they come off this final little section of the hill.
You got to absolutely nail the braking into Forest Elbow. I've been to this place in real life, and the run down to Forest Elbow is almost like a cliff made of tarmac. It's incredible how much elevation change there is. Doesn't look like Negrete has as much of an advantage over Overbay as he would like. Just a little bit too far back now to get the slipstream and the move into the chase. He's going to have to wait ever longer. Meanwhile, a bit further back in the field, James Carter, 23rd place. He's between Richard Swindles and, oh dear, looks like Swindles has had a bit of an issue there. That's a big lock up there. Looks like Swindles has managed to keep it out of the wall, though. And
let's take a look at the GSRC replay here. I think the Canadian may have gotten a little bit of tail. Oh, yeah, the tail gets around on him just a tiny bit. Now we come into the braking zone right here, under the brakes, try to get the car back over to the right side a little bit too far. Just overcooked it a little bit, raising the wall. Let's watch his laps coming up now. I'll watch him on my side monitor to make sure. But hey, looks like he's ready to fight back though, coming into the final corner Murray's.
Well, I stand corrected. There was a bit of wall contact there, but it seems not enough to significantly damage the car. Let's see what Swindles can do to make his way past Mr. Gunderson in 24th place. We're seeing drivers separate out into big draft packs here all throughout the field. Swindles has got Colin Diaz, Fernando Rodriguez and Andres Echevarria behind him. Those two teammates trying to make their way up through the field. Echevarria has not been able to make up any positions so far in this race, and Rodriguez has lost 3. So there's still plenty of time to go in this race. We're only on lap 6 of 19. There's still plenty of potential, especially for second place here, because Justin DeGreat is still right on the back of Michael Overbay. And Overbay, oh, he just ran a little bit wide of the wall there. The exit of Forest Elbow. Raymond Day, it seems, has had a couple of issues. He's starting to fall down the order behind these guys. That looks like quite a big problem there. He's actually gone back to the pits, but the move should be on for second here. Can Justin DeGreat make his way past Michael Overbay side by side on the way into the chase? This is the defense that we want to see here from Michael Overbay. Just shoves the door shut. Fantastic racing.
Yeah, really nice heads-up racing from both parties there. Great run down the hill. Let's take a look here, though, at the GSRC replay, as this is, here he comes, the 77. This is going to be Raymond Day heading up over. This is McPhillamy Park, coming around the corner, looking at the Coates Hire, trying to get into the S's right here. A little bit too much curb for my taste in these F3 cars. Oh, we actually saw a wheel come up as he went through the dipper. He actually got a little bit too far inside. I think he got a wheel off the ground, and that may have been what upset the balance of the car for him.
Oh dear. Brad Miller with a spin out of Murray's corner. Something's gone very wrong there for the AM driver in the number 15. Going to double check to see what went on for him. Was there contact involved? Yes, there was actually. Gabriel Moreau going wide in Murray's corner. He got passed by Nicholas Karangis here, but you'll see that Moreau gets a bit of oversteer on the outside, and the two cars come together. That's a massive crash.
Oh, yeah, and that's tough when you get in there. You're off your normal line. You don't have quite the grip that you had before. But the car doesn't look like it's taken too much damage. But, ooh, a big attack. Is that Karangis attacking? They're two cars, teammates, and I can never tell which is which. This is going to be Neil Alexander. Neil Alexander from, just barely clipped the wall right there, working his way up the hill. Losing a little bit of time heading through the parks, though.
Yes, indeed. And, I mean, these cars don't suffer as much from aerodynamic disturbance as the last generation of F1 cars. But, oh, here we go. That's a poor run out of McPhillamy. Is that the position let by? It looks like it is. Might be a couple of issues there. Not too sure. There has been a change for second place, though. Justin DeGreat has made his way past Michael Overbay, and it looks like the move was done in the middle of Conrod Straight. It looks like Overbay, the exit of Forest Elbow looked reasonably clean from him. We'll see here at the onboard, he was already losing a bit of time through the S's, but this time DeGreat was close enough to make the slipstream really work.
Yeah, watch him coming through Forest Elbow right here, putting the power down. He is very close this time. He's a good car length closer than he was previously. Falls out of the draft a little bit as they go into that Jim beam over. And then, out to the left side. Tried the right side last time. Didn't work as well. So I guess he figured, I'm going to take that inside line and see if I can make it stick. And he sure did.
Well, now he has an opportunity to make up some time on Sebastian Coffret, but all of that battling has really worked in Coffret's favor. He leads by 3 seconds, and this is similar to the performance that he had at Silverstone in round 1. And he'll be very happy to have a nice clear track ahead of him and no one pressuring him from behind. He's just going to be focusing on hitting all of his marks. This track is like Monaco, Spa, and the Nürburgring all combined. Maybe a bit of Virginia International Raceway in there as well. So you have to be absolutely on point every single corner, every single instance that you're racing around this track, and a slight lock up into Forest Elbow. That's not going to hurt him too much as he continues on his way in the race lead. We've had our we've had a driver come into the pits. Meanwhile, Brad Miller in the number 15. We saw him involved in an incident earlier. Looks like he might be getting some repairs done. He's been in the pits now for 45 seconds, and that's way longer than a pit stop in these Formula 3 cars. You will have to pit potentially in this race with the 50% fuel tank restriction. We'll see what happened here to Brian Lowe, who's just gone into the lane as well with a tow. What's gone wrong for him here? Has it happened in the S's? Oh, he's a bit offline on the way in, and yep. Oh, the dip in the tarmac. That's what got him, and all 4 wheels off the car.
And his rear wing as well, but it magically reattached there at the end. I'm not quite sure how the physics worked on that one, but hey, I'll take it. It's something else you don't have to run over. As we head back up and take a look at the battle for 5th right here, this is going to be Alex Fournier with Caraballo chasing down, trying to get in there just under a second, heading down Mountain Straight as they work their way into Griffiths to try to work their way up the mountain. Now, this is going to get really interesting. This is where you start to see big differences in the setup of the cars. Nick Karanges right now, oh, this is a good move from Karanges, trying to get up here onto Lung. We were watching Lung do some amazing driving earlier on, especially during the qualifying section. But Karanges, we know Karanges from previous seasons. He is a real driver. I've seen him do some pretty amazing things. So let's watch here.
Oh no! Oh dear. I think you might have commentators cursed them there, Michael. Goodness me, that is huge. And Karanges now missing his front right. Actually, it's reattached, but I think it's in very poor shape.
Yeah, that was interesting. Reattachment.
Oh dear.
There. No, now he takes out the left side. I think that's going to be done for Nick. He's going to have to tow the car back to the pits.
Oh, that's such a shame there for Nicholas. We could see that Ho Yin Lung was going defensive there into the cutting, and I think Karanges, he was trying to take his normal line, just diving in there. Ultimately, it didn't work out for him. Well, we check a little bit further up here in the field. The battling continuing for Robert Ridgway as he tries to pass Laurent Christophe de Ruel into the chase. The slipstream is there, but it's still not quite enough here for Ridgway to get it done.
I want to take a look, if we can, back in P17. We've got a really good battle here. We've got Gunderson, who is up 14 positions, as is Alexander in front of him, but the gap there is a little bit bigger. Now we got Richard Swindells trying to close in, getting really close up behind him. But behind Richard, it's not that much of a gap when we look back to Echevarria. That's only 0.7 of a second back there, with Rodriguez closing up behind him. This could end up being a really big battle, as we're only 10 laps into this race. We're just past halfway. We're going to start seeing some pit stop rotations on a normal schedule, not on a I crashed my car schedule. But these guys should start getting into some really interesting battles right about now.
Oh dear, that's unfortunate. They're a bit of oversteer for Gunderson on the way out, and this is going to be the advantage that Richard Swindells will need as he's trying to recover from his earlier incident. Potentially, Echevarria could grab a position here as well. He's going to try and follow Swindells through here, almost going 3 wide on the way into Griffin's Bend. And Gunderson, he's able to pick up the throttle nicely on the outside. He'll defend into the cutting. Narrow line in. Swindells has to back out of it. Oh, goodness me. I always love watching racing in that section of the circuit. It's always borderline. Will the driver make the move or not?
Yeah, really good driving from Gunderson. Not to put the curse on you. Keep going. Don't crash into the wall, please. I've already had one commentator's curse today. Let's not have another. But really nicely done as we go on board from behind these two. This is going to be from Echevarria. So he is closed up. There were about 7/10 or so between them before. Now that battle has allowed Echevarria to get right up into this little fight here. So we watch him going through Forest Elbow. Now getting down onto the power, we've got teammates of Echevarria and Rodriguez. They want to make this up. Let's see how well these two work together coming down Conrad Straight.
Well, up to the chase. Swindell's not close enough to get the move done on Gunderson. And it seems that the pair behind them not quite making the move themselves. It's all about a waiting game. You're going to have to wait for the next opportunity on the next lap. There's been a move, meanwhile, for 5th place, as we see drivers making their way into the pits here for the first time. Swindells and Rodriguez have decided to go for their stop here. Looks like they've managed to nail pit lane. Meanwhile, this is what happened for 5th. It was Michael Diaz and Mr. Caraballo. And Diaz there in the slipstream, able to get it done beautifully on the way down Conrad Straight. And looked like a fairly decent move there. Ahead by the time they get to the first apex.
Yeah, nicely done making that move happen. But interestingly, Caraballo got the fastest lap of the race so far on that lap. So that slipstream going down the hill seemed to help.
That it did. So that's a change for position between the teammates. And with our first few regular pitters out, looking at pit stop times here, it seems about 3 to 4 seconds are the times that we'll be looking at. In fact, Rodriguez has just passed Swindells for 20th place. So Swindells not having the best of times coming out of the pit cycle. But that's going to be crucial there for Rodriguez. He'll be hoping that he's joined by his teammates soon enough.
Yeah, fans of this series will know that I've had quite a few races with Richard Swindells, and he is a very good racer. I know that he's just biding his time. He's sitting back there waiting for his opportunity to pass. But let's take a look up here. This is the battle they were in before, I believe. These guys are trying to use every last milliliter of fuel they can so that when they come in, they can take advantage of a very quick pit stop. They still take on about the same amount of fuel, but when the car is this light, sometimes you can get an extra 10th, maybe 2/10 if you just nail everything perfectly. So let's watch how these guys are able to make the most of this as we watch. Oh, good push towards the outside. I don't know what happened there. Was that just the power of the draft?
Interesting. I'm wondering if John Almanar there in the O2 might have just lifted to let Deruel by. Sometimes it's the best thing to do to just let a rival go and try to follow them around, gain some time that way. Meanwhile, Diaz and Caraballo, they are still very close together here, coming through the S's and into the dipper. Oh my goodness, it is always heart and mouth stuff watching the drivers negotiate the dipper. You're basically throwing caution to the wind and just hoping that the car will stick. Coming down onto Conrad Straight then is the draft here for Mr. Caraballo. Can he get the position back from Diaz, who is up into the position he started in 4th? Caraballo's still advancing his way up the order, 3 places up, and he's going to make it 4 once again here as they're side by side on the run into the chase. But oh man, the speed just stalls, and it looks like Diaz lets him go there. He thinks, yeah, look, this probably isn't worth fighting right now.
Yeah, teammates working together, trying to get themselves farther up. There's a fairly sizable gap from Caraballo to Overbay. Overbay's still turning some pretty good lap times, and he's got about a 5.5 second lead over Caraballo. So I think Caraballo and Diaz want to work together as best they can to try to make up that gap and hope they are able to get at least one of them into that podium position.
Max Chablis comes into the lane from about 7th spot. And this is going to be a nice routine pit stop for him. He's managed to avoid the poor luck and incidents that have befallen him a couple of times in previous rounds. Robert Ridgway also comes into the pits just behind him. Ridgway was just passed by John Almanar a couple of seconds ago, and that looks like a pretty routine pit stop for Shabley and for Ridgway. 5 seconds apiece as James Carter makes his way across the start-finish line. He's going to come out just behind these guys. Carter concentrating massively here as just coming out of the pits. Ahead of him is Mr. Ridgway. Okay, let's see if now James Carter can try and get the move done here. He still has yet to come into the lane, but he's up 12 places from where he started. He's having a pretty good race.
Yeah, having a very nice race here. And just a quick thought, earlier when we were watching Almanar on Deruel, I think Almanar realizes he's in the lead of the AM group right now. He is the leader. He's got a fairly sizable lead, only Takeshi Hida, Mr. Sneaky, between him and Ryan Berry, who's P2 in AM right now. And that is about 9, almost 10 seconds. So taking a lift there, going into grip spin, that was probably the best thing for him to do. As we watch Almanar right now, he is in 8th place overall and leading the AM bunch.
There's been big dramas for Alex Fournier, meanwhile. Looks like he's a retirement. He ran wide at Forest Elbow and got into the wall, losing his right side tyres. But the pit stop is here for Sebastian Coffret and Justin Negrete. Have a look at how much time Negrete has made up. He's right behind him.
Yeah, that's probably a pit entry issue for one of them. That would be my guess, but we'd have to see a replay on that. But not too important. Let's watch how long they are there. Ooh, very quick out. Was that tires? Was he jacked up? Did he take tires on that car?
Interesting. I'm not too sure. I think maybe they go up on the jacks anyway when they're taking fuel. No, Negrete did take tires there, so a little bit longer of a stop there. Didn't lose as much time as I would have expected.
Well, the interesting thing there is they've got only a few laps left here, about 5 laps left. Is he going to be able to get the tires up to temperature, and will they give him enough of an advantage with very light wear over next to nothing wear? Because that's going to be a tough call. I don't know that I would have taken tires because of that warm-up cycle, but I think about 3/4 of a lap here, especially going up through the mountain section, you do get some heat into them. You get the core temperature up really nice, and you should be able to get them to temperature, but it's just a tough call. Is it worth that time with so few laps left?
Yeah, I'm wondering if he might end up regretting that decision. Well, either way, unfortunately we missed it live, but Alex Fournier retiring from the race, the championship leader, made a mistake in this exact section of the circuit coming through Forest Elbow, and that's going to be a big blow to Fournier's championship chances here. Remember, it is only early in the season though. He has plenty of time to make it up. We'll see how he can go in future rounds as Michael Overbay is now in the pits. This has turned into quite the race for the lead. Let's see what Michael Overbay can do here.
Yeah, as he rolls down, trundles down the pit lane, trying to find his pit stall. Hopefully doesn't overshoot it. Please don't, because that would be another commentator's curse. Gets his fuel, looking for about 3.8 seconds. That's quite the splash and dash.
Okay, well, it looks like he's gotten out ahead of Coffret. This could be potentially a huge call for Michael Overbay. It's either a master stroke or a horrible mistake. I guess we'll find out in 4 laps.
Yeah, we're going to find out very soon here as we watch Overbay with a 4.25 second lead right now. That was an interesting strategy call. So we watch Caraballo working his way around, trying to hold on to 3rd position, getting up the hill. Wow, that was an overtake. Caraballo takes 3rd place over Negrete.
Fantastic stuff. Nagreet, I think, still having some issues getting his new tyres up to temperature. He's now under pressure from Byron Daly, who has made up 7 places so far in this race. It's been a great performance there from Byron. Let's see what he can do coming across the top of the mountain then. Got to avoid those huge curves on the inside. Flat out through McPhillamy. That exit curve is death. Avoid it for the love of all that is holy. And then into the S's. Oh, just cranking on the lock through the dipper. Trying your best not to induce too much oversteer in the car. Nice wide entry to Forest Elbow as well. He's able to carry a bit more speed there, but just glances off the wall on the exit. Is that going to be enough to get the move done here on Justin Nagreet and demote him to 5th?
Yeah, he kind of missed the apex on that, so I think that cost him a little bit of time. Not that grazing the wall didn't, but he's got quite a draft in the toe coming down the Conrad Straight. Looks to the inside, tries to get around, go into braking. Oh, looks like he's going to try another day. That is a pass, done and dusted.
It is indeed. Fantastic stuff there. Well, it's still very much on here for Justin Nagreet. He's going to try his best to catch back up to Byron Daly, but an excellent move indeed for the driver of the 06. As we now have, I think, 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go here. We're taking a look at Overbay, still in first place. He seems to be keeping this gap pretty tight, at least tightly in control, I should say. 3.6 seconds over Coffre. That pit stop, wow, that was tight. That was not enough time to get the fuel, I think. But I have been wrong before. I am perfectly willing to accept I am wrong again, because Overbay has been driving a brilliant race. So let's see how that fuel worked out for him. I'm concerned that he may have underfueled here, and he's going to have to do some saving.
We'll find out soon enough. I've just found out what the problem for Sebastian Coffre was. He put his pit limiter on way too early. There's a double chicane on the way into the pit lane here at Mount Panorama, and the actual pit entry line where you have to put the limiter on is past that. Well, Coffre slowed right down and put his pit limiter on as he was going through those S-bends. That's how he lost so much time. Very unfortunate there. But with the retirement for Alex Fournier, Coffre should still be in contention for the championship lead here. We'll see how many points Michael Overbay can make up if he manages to hold on for this win.
Well, Sebastian with a 3-second gap in front of him and a 3-second gap behind him. So he's kind of driving out on his own at the moment. But let's take a look at this battle for 9th. That's Jonathan Almanar in P9. He is the leading AM driver. And we've got DeRuel right there, as you see right on your screen. But who is it in 11th? It's Mr. Sneaky. Here he comes. Had a really nice run early on. So Mr. Sneaky doing his thing that he does every time, up 8 positions. So doing a beautiful job closing this gap in. Started in 19th. He's up to 11th. So let's see what Mr. Sneaky is able to do with these last 2-3 laps that we got left for him.
It's going to be close, just ahead of him between Almanar and DeRuel. If they end up battling side by side, well, Mr. Sneaky, as you call him, should be able to sneak by, potentially into a top 10 position. It's been a very good race there from Kita, but the draft is on here for Laurent Christophe Delarelle. Here we go then to the outside, and getting off
Almanar's
the throttle
let
early
it go.
there.
Yep, This is what I was saying before. He knows he has that AM lead just tied up. He has Barry is the next AM driver behind him. And with Takeshi Kita in between them, he doesn't have too much to worry about. He does not want to put too much of a battle on. So now Takeshi Kita's got to get around him if he has any chance of catching DeRuel.
Yeah, there's 11 seconds between Almanar and Barry there, so that lead is done and dusted for the time being. As the battling continues here. Oh, Takeshi Kita just clipping the curb there on the run up to McPhillamy. Oh, how did he hold on to that? Goodness gracious.
He's just being sneaky again. I want to see that again. Let's take a look at our GSRC replay. Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, just being sneaky all around. So we watch him come up through here, and he's just going to come. Oh, a tight turn. He is on full throttle, but remember, he's got a little bit of a little bit too much of that inside curving. Also, being in the draft there, you get a little bit of turbulence out of there. But, you know, it looked like it didn't even phase him, because where is he now? He is right back up there, 0.6 off of Almanar.
Oh, yeah, you just clip that curb on the exit, and there's every chance you'll get fired into the wall, but Takeshi Kita, not phased by it at all. So that's what the gap is now. He is still right there with John Almanar. Deruel is starting to drive away. Kita just slightly wide through Murray's corner, but that's okay. He'll be able to still get the draft down Mountain Straight if he can nail the run out of Hell Corner. Got to take a late apex there and try your best not to go too far over that curb. It's definitely a usable curb when it comes to GT and touring cars, but in open wheelers they tend to avoid it. And let's see if Almanar ends up fighting him here. The gap is being made up quite substantially, but it looks like Almanar is not electing to let him go this time.
Yeah, he wasn't really close enough. We've still got a couple of car lengths difference between them. The gap being right about half a second, 0.6 of a second. Not enough to go ahead and make the lift. He still needs to stay ahead of him and not get out of his pattern, his flow, his feel. So yeah, you can make those lifts to let an out-of-class car pass you, but it's really more important to kind of stay in that groove. I've seen too many drivers last lap, big lead, really slow down, and the next thing you know, they're off their game and the timing's not working anymore. But as we watch here, Takeshi Kita trying to close this up, doing a very nice job coming through the dipper here, gets the power down, coming on through. This is his chance here. I think we may see Mr. Sneaky get around as we come down the Conrad Straight.
Oh, hello. That's a spinner, just about. That's Colin Diaz, and not for position. And it looks like Kita's managed to get past John Almanar in the midst of all of that. Bit of a big check up there as Diaz had a run into the wall on the outside of Forest Elbow. There's a lap comparison between Coffray and Overbay. The lead has come down to 2.2 seconds, so Coffray still looking incredibly quick, but this being the final lap, if Overbay can nail this, if he still has fuel in the car, which I think he does, he should be able to hold on for this.
Yeah, I think he can hold on. It's like I was just saying, though, you want to stay within kind of your pattern. You want to have your timing down. You don't want to change it too much, because especially here where there's several blind corners, think about going through the dipper. You kind of just turn because it's time to turn, not because you can see where you're supposed to go. So you have to maintain that timing. And if you slow down too much, it can really, really mess you up.
Well, there's the gap. It's continuing to fall. It's down under 2 seconds now. Wondering if Overbay is saving a little bit of fuel here on the final lap. We'll have to wait and see as he makes his way out of Forest Elbow. And he can see Coffray in his mirrors now. The gap is still too great for the draft to have any meaningful effect down Conrad Straight. And there's only 4 corners to go on this lap, so I think what we're seeing here is a brilliant performance from Michael Overbay. I think Sebastian Coffray is going to be ruining that mistake on pit entry, putting the limiter on too early. Either way, that is the way it's going to end up here at the end of the night in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series. One more corner to go for Michael Overbay. Navigating Murray's corner, nails the apex, out over the curb, and that is a pretty much flawless victory there from Overbay. A fantastic win there, his first of 2022 Season 2.
Yeah, nicely done. I think there may have been a bit of coasting as he comes to a stop in the overrun there. I'm pretty certain there was no chance of a victory lap at that point.
Yeah, no chance at all. Pulled over in the runoff area at Hell Corner. Still on here for 14th place, 13th even. Fernando Rodriguez up ahead of Neil Alexander. This is for the AM class podium. It's still on between these guys, but it looks like maybe just a little bit too far back as Alexander to make any meaningful impact.
Yeah, it's tough at this point, right at the end of the race. If you've got more than about a second and a half, there's nothing. I mean, you really need to be under half a second when you come out of Forest Elbow to try to do anything, and it's just too far, too big of a gap to make up.
I'll alter my statement from before. This is for the M class 5th place, and that's going to work out between them. Unfortunately, it looks like Richard Swindell's making a mistake out of the chase. That's let James Carter by, and he will come home in 15th overall and take that M class position from Richard Swindell's. Goodness me. What a race that was at Mount Panorama in the PRL Formula 3 Series. We'll step aside very briefly here on the Global Sim Racing channel. When we come back, we will have our official results and interviews with our podium. Well, Mount Panorama provided the thrills here in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series, and it was Michael Overbay who took victory from Sebastian Coffret, just 1.5 seconds separating them at the end. Moises Caraballo comes home in 3rd place. A fantastic drive from him. Byron Daly making up a great amount of positions to finish in 4th. Justin Negrete and Michael Diaz both losing 2 positions each. They will come home 5th and 6th. It's 2 positions gained for Max Shabley, meanwhile, finishes in 7th. Then it's Robert Widgray, DeRuel in 9th, and Takeshi Kita sneaking his way into 10th position.
That's Mr. Sneaky as we know and love him, but P11 is going to start out with our winner in the AM class, Jonathan Almanar, followed by Ryan Barry, P2 in the AM class. P3 in the AM class, 13th overall is going to be Rodriguez, followed by Alexander Carter Gunderson, Richard Swindells. We have Echevarria in 18th with Dinsmore 19th, and 20th, one lap down, is Brad Miller.
21st place, 2 laps down, Raymond Day, unfortunately facing incidents there. Colin Diaz also 2 laps down. This is where we're really getting into retirement territory now. Mount Panorama is always a race of attrition. It's going to be Manuel Vargas and Greg Doucette along with Ho Yin Lung, classified 5 laps down. Nicholas Caranges in 8 laps down in the 3-1-1, and then the top 30 rounded out by Michael Blaze, Brian Lowe, and Gabriel Moreau.
Yeah, Moreau having a good qualifying, but terrible race. Looking at Stephen Ritters in 31st, 13 laps down. Tyler Gore, we're used to seeing him up in that top 5 range, 15 laps down. Juan Cofre, Julio Palacio, and Stephen Veraday rounding out our field.
It was certainly a race of attrition here tonight, but we will talk to the drivers who managed to survive it. The first of them will be our race winner, Michael Overbay. What a fantastic drive there. Michael, congratulations. It looks like that's your first victory in this series for the season. It all came down to the pits. Were you concerned about fuel?
No, not at all. Yeah, it was just a normal stop, normal fuel that I took. I just took it easy early though. I let Justin go by because I couldn't see. My eyes were turning blurry, so I couldn't see on my screen. So I told Justin to go by, and I'll just sit there and follow him for the race. And that's what I kind of did. Just sat there and took it easy, and then had a nice pit entry. I think I got him on pit entry, and had that nice lead, and just conserved the rest of the way since I had like a 4-second gap.
Indeed. Well, I can confirm there was a mistake for Sebastian Cofre on pit entry. He put the limiter on way too early. That's how you ended up gaining all of that time. But Mount Panorama is definitely a track that you have to respect. So your decision to take it easy, I think, really paid off.
Oh, absolutely. Thank goodness this week I finally had a car that didn't have any damage. The last 2 weeks I had damage on the first lap. I started second every race this time, and I couldn't get a good finish because I always had damage from lap 1. So finally had a race where I didn't have damage and was able to get a good finish for the team.
Well, that you did, and it ends up giving you a good haul of championship points as well. Before we let you go, Michael, anyone you'd like to thank for your victory?
I'd like to thank my teammate Brad. We're the 2 old guys in this league, so it's kind of nice as 50-year-olds go out there and do pretty good. And yeah, that's it. TQE and my company Apex Button Box.
Michael Overbay, 4th in the championship coming into this round with problems for Alex Fournier, might be able to jump up into 3rd with Julio Palacio also facing issues. The next driver we're going to talk to here, Michael Johnson, has Moises Caraballo.
Moises, what an interesting race for you, beginning to end. Looked like you were working together with your teammate through at least the middle part of the race. You and Diaz trying to kind of work your way down the Conrad Straight. Were you working together, or was that just the way it fell apart or fell together?
Yeah, we started working together in the quali and then in the race. The quali was we was trying to do a good lap, but I think the best way was the way we did it. We did it alone. And in the second part, in the race, we was working a few laps, and we finally got the I'm faster than Michael in that part of the race, and I started to do my race, and he was behind me. He made a mistake in the box in the pit stop, and then I could pull a little bit more and get to the 3rd place.
So post-race, everybody starts to talk about what they did in setup. Sometimes you don't want to share in the beginning of the race, but at the end of the race, well, here's what I did. So I found there are 2 distinct ways to set up the car for this track. Sometimes you want to set it up for these long straights so you have no wing, no downforce. But the other way, and the one I quite often fall to, is to have a little bit more downforce so you can really put on pressure going up the mountain where the walls are so tight. Which way did you choose to go for this race?
We work on a setup with a little bit more of downforce, focus in the final part of the race, because the tires were the tire wear was like bigger with low downforce, and we preferred to use a little bit more of downforce for the last part of the race. The car goes better.
I find the same thing as the tires start to wear down. Gotta say, I love the GSRC logo that you have on the nose of the car. Both you and Michael have that. So thank you for having that on there. But there's some other sponsors on there that I'm going to guess you want to thank for this third place finish.
Yeah, we're gonna thanks to the Precision Racing League eSport team. Want to thank to Michael Diaz, Abner Acosta was our spotter, and all the guys of the team that helped to get these results.
Well, thanks for being here, Moises. Great race from you, beginning to end, keeping it pretty clean through the whole time. Very difficult to do here. But I think now we've got Reese with our AM winner, Jonathan Almanar.
We do indeed. Jonathan Almanar joins us in the comms box now. Congratulations for your victory, Jonathan, making up 5 positions. It was all about trying to just keep it clean.
Hey guys, yes, thank you. So yeah, it was a difficult start, a lot of traffic, a lot of accident avoidance, but I managed to go, went through it.
Indeed you did, and by the end of the race you had such a lead over your fellow AM class rivals that you decided to just let the pro guys get on with it.
Right, yeah, I tried to keep it smart, you know, and thanks to my spotter, Pedro Andreu, he kept reminding me, look, you're going first, you don't have to fight these guys, so take it easy. And yeah, I just play the smart way.
Well, looking at the AM Drivers' Championship, you were 10th in the standings coming into this round, but taking the victory here with plenty of the AM drivers having issues around here should be a good points haul and get your championship season back on track.
Yes, finally. This is the first time I get a clean, easy race because I had problems on the first 3 rounds, and it was a struggle in qualifying and then struggle on during the race. So finally, I got to put everything together, and yeah, first good result for me.
Well, we will let you enjoy that, but before we do, anyone you want to thank for your AM class victory tonight, Jonathan?
Yes, again, my spotter, Pedro Andreu, he kept me real and kept me away from accidents, and my team, SDS Racing Team, I love you guys. You guys are always supporting me. And PRL, can't miss them, right, for organizing these great competitions online.
Oh, goodness me. Wow, what an event that was, Michael. Fantastic racing, both in the Ferraris and the Formula 3s. Really looking forward to seeing how the rest of these seasons end up going in these championships, because it's looking competitive all round.
Yeah, the competition is really tight. I think we're seeing everyone starting to assert their position, assert their dominance. It's you kind of know where you're going to be at the end of the season, and you really want to do every kind of little tweak and whatever you can to the car to hold on to that position and maybe move up. For example, I know that I'm probably going to finish 3rd in one of the leagues I'm racing in, but I got a shot at 2nd. And I want to think I can make it happen, but you really want to assert that dominance and know where you are. And I think that's what's really starting to come together now. Jonathan Almanar, we just saw, had a tough couple of races, but really drives home class leader and just walks away from everybody else in his class. So I think we're going to see things start to unfold here, a little movement through the field. It's going to be an interesting season all the way to the end.
And we look forward to bringing it to you all here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Before we go, one more round of thanks for our sponsors. First off, The Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups, 24/7 coaching and more. Check out our link in the description below and use our special discount code MajorsGSRC to get 10% off. The Precision Racing League is brought to you first by Advanced SimRacing. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, Michael, Joe, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next time for PRL Thursdays, the Ferraris are going to be racing at Watkins Glen and the Formula 3s are going to be racing at Alton Park. It's going to be quite an interesting night there. You'll be able to catch that next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.